In the last lecture, we talked about the 3 types of clues that we can use to figure out which part of speech a word belongs to. Functional clues, what the word means, morphological clues, the different bits that can be put onto a word to change it in various ways, and syntactic clues, which are the words that the word can combine with. Now we'll go on to look at how these clues can be applied to the different parts of speech that we find in English. Most languages have roughly the same parts of speech. Probably all languages have nouns and verbs, and most of them have adjectives and adverbs. But the clues that are used to identify parts of speech differ from language to language. So in English, we might say that a noun is something that can have the suffix s stuck onto it to make it plural, like dog and dogs. But in, for example, Kaitech, which is an Aboriginal language of the Northern Territory, we might instead say that a noun is something that can have the suffix le put onto it when it's the subject of the sentence. If you speak a language other than English, you might want to think about what the clues are for identifying parts of speech in that language. Nouns. If you've ever been told that a noun is something that names a person, place, or thing, that is a functional clue. It refers to what the word means. We might say that nouns name objects, but we would have to take object in a pretty wide sense. Nouns also include words for feelings, qualities, conditions, various other abstracts, so love, or happiness, or liberty, or politics, or knowledge are all nouns. If we turn to the morphological clues, then most nouns in English can take an S to make them plural. Cats, chairs, thoughts. But not all nouns take a plural S. Some nouns are made plural in some other way. For example, the plural of foot isn't foots, it's feet. The plural of man isn't mans, it's men. And there are some nouns that can't really be plural at all. We don't normally talk about informations or advices or garbages. What this means is that the plural S clue only works in one direction. If you can make a word plural by adding S, then it's a noun. But if you can't make it plural by adding S, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not a noun. We'll have to look for other clues in that case. Most nouns in English can also take another kind of S, the possessive. In the girl's book, the S is telling us that the girl owns the book. But again, there are exceptions to this. The syntactic criteria are the most reliable. Nouns combine with determiners like a, the, or this, or my, a car, the car, this car, my car. They can also combine with adjectives, which describe the thing the noun refers to. Big car, red car, fast car. The noun, together with any other parts that it combines with in this way, makes up a noun phrase. So, for example, my big red car is a noun phrase. Nouns or noun phrases can be subjects or objects of verbs. What that means is that they're used to refer to the person or the thing that does the action that the verb describes. Dogs bark. Or the person or thing that has the action done to them. I love dogs. They can also follow a preposition, a book about dogs. Determiners. Determiners are usually quite short words which go in front of a noun. From a functional perspective, we can say that they limit the reference of a noun. If I just say dog, that could mean any dog. But if I say the dog, or this dog, or my dog, that narrows it down to a specific dog. Morphological clues aren't much used with determiners because determiners in English don't take any morphology. But they do form what we call closed classes. What this means is that there's only a limited number of each type of determiner, so it's possible to actually list all the ones that exist in each category. There are several different types of determiner in English. And the reason we call all of these different things determiners is that they all go in the same place before the noun. And we can usually only have one of them at a time, with one exception that we'll get back to in a minute. The different types of determiner are articles. There's just two of these. The indefinite article, a, or an if the next word starts with a vowel, like an apple, and the definite article, the. Demonstratives point something out and indicate whether it's close or far away. If I say this book, I usually mean a book that's close to me, but if I say that book, I'm talking about a book that's farther away. There are 4 demonstratives in English: this, that, these, and those. The possessive determiners are my, your, his, her, its, our, and their. They're sometimes called possessive pronouns because they refer to different persons, I, you, he, she, etc., in the same way that personal pronouns do. But they're actually determiners because they go in front of a noun, my book, your book, and so on. They don't replace a noun or a noun phrase like pronouns do. The last type of determiner is the quantifiers, and they're harder to list because there's rather a lot of them. Quantifiers are words that tell you how many there is of something. That includes words like some, or all, or many, but also all number words like 1, 2, 3, 16, 4076. As far as the syntactic clues are concerned, all these words go in the same place. They go before a noun, but they also go before anything else that comes in front of a noun in a noun phrase. So if there's one or more adjectives in front of the noun, as in tiny fluffy kitten, the determiner has to come not just before the noun, but before the adjectives as well. We have to say the tiny fluffy kitten, not tiny fluffy the kitten, or tiny the fluffy kitten. We can normally only have one determiner at a time, even if they're of different types. We can't say this the dog or my dog. The exception is if one of the determiners is a quantifier, it can have another determiner with it. These 3 dogs, where these is a demonstrative and 3 is a quantifier. The many books, where the is an article and many is a quantifier. Pronouns. There are different types of pronouns, but here we'll focus on what is called personal pronouns. Personal pronouns typically refer to people, with the exception of it, which can refer to objects or situations. Morphologically, pronouns are the only words in English which have a different shape depending on the job they're doing in a clause. If I say, the boy kissed the girl, then the boy is doing the kissing and the girl is being kissed. If I say, the girl kissed the boy, then the girl is doing the kissing and the boy is being kissed. But the only thing that tells you this is the order that the words come in. You can't look at the word boy itself and see whether it refers to the person doing the kissing or the person being kissed. With pronouns, however, you can. If I say, I kissed him, then I'm the one doing the kissing and he's the one being kissed. If I say, he kissed me, then he's the one doing the kissing and I'm the one being kissed. You can see that the shape of the pronouns changes between the 2 sentences. The first person pronoun is I, if I'm the one doing the action, but it's me if I'm the one having it done to me. And the third person pronoun is he if he's the one doing the action, but it's him if he's the one having it done to him. We say that pronouns have different subject and object forms. And this points ahead to the syntactic clues. Pronouns can be subjects or objects of verbs, or they can be objects of prepositions, as in, he looked at me. Now you may remember that this is exactly the same things that we said nouns could do. And this is because pronouns can be used to replace noun phrases. So for example, instead of I saw the tall red-haired girl in the polka-dotted raincoat, we could just say I saw her. Instead of the trees which my grandfather planted when my mother was born have grown tall, we could just say they have grown tall. So pronouns can go in exactly the same places as noun phrases can.
There are 4 sets of personal pronouns in English: subject pronouns, object pronouns, possessive pronouns, and reflexive pronouns. Let's start by looking at the subject and object pronouns. You can see the forms here in the table. We can see that the pronouns are divided into 3 different persons. First person pronouns refer to the person speaking. The word I, first person singular, is not associated with a specific person at all times. It's used to refer to whoever it happens to be coming out of the mouth of at the time. So if Bill, Jane, and Susan are having a conversation, then every time Bill uses the word I, then I refers to Bill. Every time Jane uses the word I, then I refers to Jane. And every time Susan uses the word I, then I refers to Susan. Second person pronouns refer to the person spoken to. You can mean a different person depending on who I'm addressing. If I'm talking to Jane, then you means Jane. If I'm talking to Susan, then you means Susan, and so on. And third person pronouns refer to someone or something who isn't directly a part of the conversation. So words like he, she, it, or they. The other 2 sets of personal pronouns, which you can see in this table, are the possessive pronouns and the reflexive pronouns. Possessive pronouns are used when you want to talk about something that is possessed, but you only make reference to the owner and not the actual thing that is owned. For example, a person could point to some items and say, that one is mine and that one is yours. Mine and yours, in a sentence like that, function as possessive pronouns. Reflexive pronouns are used when the object of the clause is the same as the subject of the clause. Now, that explanation might sound a little complicated, but all it really means is sentences like, you hit yourself, or she saw herself in the mirror. When you hit yourself, you can't say, I hit me. You have to use a reflexive pronoun and say, I hit myself.